do the most illegal thing ever and give million-dollar checks to people like he's the Publishers Clearinghouse.
You've just won our Forever Prize.
It didn't go off perfectly though, as at least one anti-Doge protester made it into the rally, and Musk's response tells us a lot about the Republican strategy.
The federal government, like shocking, really. It's insane. Yeah, it's really wild. So, I mean, it was inevitable that at least a few Soros operatives would be in the audience. Give my regards to George. Say hi to George for me. USA, 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 USA.
Somehow the irony of accusing billionaire George Soros of paying protesters is lost on Elon Musk, a billionaire giving people million-dollar checks in order to buy the Republicans a Supreme Court seat in Wisconsin. Elon Musk, worth $330 billion. As a side note, his net worth is down nearly $70 billion since the boycott started, so keep that up. Bribing voters with million-dollar checks to buy a judicial election in Wisconsin, while whining about protesters angry about Musk's plan to fire 83,000 VA workers and dismantle Social Security being paid, is something George Orwell couldn't make up. This is very clearly just Elon Musk giving money to Republicans to be Republican. The recipient of Elon's first million-dollar check in Wisconsin, Nicholas Jacobs, has the same name and looks very similar to the chairman of Wisconsin College Republicans. Surprise, surprise, this is money just being openly funneled to Republicans by this billionaire, something he literally accuses George Soros of doing during this exact same rally. Now, George Soros has been a boogeyman for the Republicans for decades now, but the ridiculousness of using the billionaire label to fearmonger conservatives against maybe like the only liberal billionaire is hilarious given Trump has thrown away all pretense in his second term of being for the common folk. The net worth of his cabinet is nearing $60 billion, and that doesn't include Elon Musk, who alone is an order of magnitude more wealthy than George Soros. While this paid protester excuse was once only used by the likes of Alex Jones in order to deny events like Sandy Hook, it's now being used for literally any form of protest on the left. Here's an article from MSNBC. The scary subtext behind the paid protester line from Trump and Republicans. As members of Congress confront angry constituents at town halls nationwide, Republicans are increasingly invested in the idea that the dissatisfied Americans are insecure and, well, compensated. Speaker Mike Johnson, for example, declared last week that he'd seen the videos of recent public events, but was confident that in many communities there were paid protesters. The Louisiana Republican naturally offered no evidence in support of his claim. The Republicans' main strategy when it comes to opposition is going to be claiming that the opposition is being paid by George Soros, ignoring the fact that they have no evidence, and it would be impossible to mobilize this sort of effort without there being some proof of it. I mean, look at this supercut of Republicans getting dragged across the coals all across the country. They're trying to say that all of these people are being paid by George Soros.
Your congressman and your fellow congressmen are going to do to rein in the megalomaniac in the White House.
What Doge is doing is it's the closest thing to zero-based budgeting that we've seen. Why would you be opposed to us looking on a line-by-line basis whenever you...
From an immigrant from South Africa who wasn't elected!
There is no due process if you come here in the evidence. You violated the law. Period. You violated the law. You are not entitled to due process. Legal process and these people violated the law.
Now, I don't know what you guys are saying, but I'm seeing hundreds, maybe thousands of angry constituents across the nation yelling at their representatives for bending over backwards to defend Doge. They want you to think that that sea of faces you just saw are all radical leftists who were paid by George Soros to show up. But in reality, the Republicans don't seem to realize that what they're doing is building a coalition of people against them. A coalition of people whose similarity may just be their hatred of Trump and Doge.
NOAA is 12,000 experts here to help, to fly into hurricanes, to deploy underwater sensors, to train models predicting tomorrow or 2100. We need to let NOAA's staff continue its mission. We need to let them continue delivering.
That was Dr. Sarah Cooley. Until recently, she was a scientist at NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which is the part of the federal government that does, little things that anybody can do. Tracking hurricanes and tornadoes and tsunamis, stuff you can do at home. Hundreds of scientists like Dr. Cooley were fired from NOAA last week, part of Trump and his top campaign donor indiscriminately eliminating whole parts of the U.S. government, especially the parts we use. Dr. Cooley, along with about 1,000 other former NOAA employees and supporters and just members of the public and Democratic members of Congress and the U.S. Senate, all stood outside NOAA headquarters today, just outside D.C., to protest all those firings, to protest those weather forecasters and scientists who have just been fired from their jobs. They held up signs that said, "Save NOAA." Firing the scientists creates a bleep storm. There was also another protest in D.C. today. This was to defend the federal government as well, just a few miles down the road. This one was for employees for the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Check this out. This was in Yosemite National Park in California, also on the edge of the Grand Canyon in Arizona, at the St. Louis Arch in Missouri, at Bar Harbor, Maine, just outside Acadia National Park. There were Save Our Parks protests at more than 100 different national parks all over the country this weekend, protesting the firing of parks employees.
The actions of Doge have impacted millions of Americans' lives. So the idea that these people are faking their anger and they're actually just actors paid by George Soros is the most laughably ridiculous thing I've heard maybe all year. And the entire internet is laughing at Elon for this. Kyle Kalinske said, "My brother in Christ, you are literally at an event to buy an election giving out $1 million. Shut the fuck up, you dumb bitch." Mehdi Hassan points out that every accusation is a confession, as the conservatives continue to show us time and time again. Crystal Ball says, pretending like they are paid operatives while you are literally there to bribe people to vote. Someone responded with, Elon's lack of self-awareness will be studied for decades. They'll also study how he convinced 5 women to bear his children. Brian Tyler Cohen hit him with, sorry, is Elon Musk attacking George Soros while he's literally buying an election in Wisconsin? The exact thing that Republicans baselessly claim that George Soros does? You see, the difference is Elon Musk is doing it in broad daylight. George Soros doesn't do it at all. Frank Leon posted, he says George Soros this and that while literally paying people to do stuff for him, including voting and showing up to the events. Evidence in his own tweets. This is the craziest timeline, I swear. And Justin Morris makes an excellent point. The irony of calling someone a Soros operative while you are literally paying people to attend an election rally and directly bankrolls the president. Trump is an Elon operative. At this point, the entire Republican Party has sold itself to Elon Musk. I mean, how immoral is it to give people $1 million checks in order to influence an election? Elon Musk will bankroll the Republican Party before he bankrolls his own children's child support. But hey, the party of moral integrity and family values, right? I'm Tony Hinderman with Really American, and I'll catch you next time.